Lighting is incredibly important when it comes to photography and filmmaking and videography, YouTube, whatever you're doing, it involves light. If these lights weren't on, you'd be struggling to be able to see me. And obviously using this light, it's a bit ridiculous. But even this light here isn't that great. As you can see, it just doesn't look good. However, if I do this, like this, I think you'll agree this looks incredible. And this setup is done with 3 lights. I've got no lights on above, because that looks terrible. I've got 1 key light here, and then I've got a light back there, and a light back there. So I'm going to show you quickly how I've set them all up. So, this here is a Forza 60B Mark II by Color. I'll link that below, and then it's just on a standard stand. And then over here, I have a nanlite 15C, which is the Mark II version. So it's a pavotube 15C. And then over here, which is the last one, I have another 15C as well. So just with those 3 lights, it changes your setup immensely. That's the setup that I use for all of my YouTube stuff at home. So the 60B Mark II and the 15C Mark II times 2 lights like this. I'm going to go and use the 2 15C Mark IIs to shoot a Mclaren Atura, which is an insane car that I've had the opportunity to work with recently. But I'm going to show you how I use them to light the car, and I'll show you some photos at the end and how I kind of use the lights to accentuate the beauty of the car. So the first location we've come to is this rooftop car park in the centre of Melbourne with this insane Mclaren Atura. We're surrounded by buildings, which looks sick, and even without the lights that we're going to use, it looks great. But I'm going to add nanlights into this shot to accentuate the car and make the vibe way better than it is now. Because at the moment we've got these lights coming from here, which is nice because it gives me a bit of fill light, but I want to use the nanlights to make the car pop. So we're going to set everything up now, get the shots, and I'll show you in a moment. The first shot that I'm going to get with the 2 nanlights is this kind of conceptual shot. So down here, I have the car parked in the center of a ramp, which looks good on its own. And I'm going to show you a photo on the screen here that you can see of that without any lights. What I want to do is I want to create one side kind of like an orangey color or blue, and then the other side another color. I'm going to set all that up now, and I'll show you the shot. Okay, so what I've done with the lights here is I've got Moses and Willis holding the lights. Now you can get light stands on the nanlights website because it'd be a lot easier than having 2 of your friends be glorified poles, but thank you very much. Got the car in the center, blue on the left, orange on the right. I'm going to get one shot as they are now. I'm going to get them to move to the center and then to the back so we can get different colors along the car. Hope that kind of makes sense, but I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, so the way that those 2 photos have worked out is at an 8-second exposure. The settings on the screen so you can see. So this photo and this photo are separate photos, and then I've used Photoshop to merge them together to create the final image. Both photos were edited in my presets, there's a link in the description, and then I've used Photoshop to merge them to create this image on the screen. I'm going to get a couple more shots of the car here, which I'll show you at the end of the video. We're going to go meet up with a model now, and I'm going to show you how you can use this for portrait photography. So you've seen how I used the two pavotubes. I had the intention of going to shoot a model as well, but for one thing or another, it didn't work out. It didn't pan out. Not the shots would have looked insane, but the actual shoot didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. So nonetheless, doesn't matter. I'm going to show you quickly how you can use the 2 pavotubes, those 2 tubes, to get some cinematic lighting whenever you're shooting some product stuff at home. So the shot that I actually want to do is I want to shoot a little bit of a video with this. This is a Tissot watch that I got as part of a different campaign. And I'm going to use this surface because, as you can see, it's nice and reflective. So if I turn off all the lights again, it's a good way to show you how I would use, where's that light gone? How I would show you how I would use this single light to create a cinematic kind of show reel of this light here. So I'm going to throw the lights back on so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get everything set up, and then I'll show you how I'm going to get the shot. The setup is really simple. I have my tripod set up here. I've got an 85mm f1.4 on the camera. I've got the Sony a7 IV, and then I've got the two nanlite 15Cs. Now, for this, I'm only going to be needing one of the lights. I'm just using the light so you can see me. I'm probably going to go with this light. Now, because obviously you can change the color of this, you can go pretty much any hue that you can think of. You can get the hue for it on here. So you can get a whole range of different shots. That could be white, it could be red, purple. I'm going to do a bunch now and you can kind of see. Now, one of the key things is you want to make sure that in the camera settings, you're not overexposed when you're shining the light onto the watch or the product that you're trying to showcase. So the way that I do that, I do a couple of test runs just to see whether or not it's the right exposure. And I always tend to go a little bit under so I can boost that after. Before we continue, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an online platform where you can go ahead and create your website. Using their templates, you can get it up and running by the end of today. I sell products and I showcase my portfolio on my website, and it's an easy way to showcase your content to brands to show what you can create for them. Down in the description, there is a link. You can go ahead, click on that link and create your website today. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn down the brightness because this is currently too bright. So it is a little bit dark, but you can still hear me and you can still see me. And I'm going to simply just have that on 2%. That's on 4% currently. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to press record. I'm going to make sure that the frame starts off dark. So recording, and then I'm just going to wave that over the top like so. On the screen you can see the S-Log footage that I've just shot of the watch, and then this is it with it color graded. Because I did the other colors as well, it gives me more variations and I can play around with that in post-production, playing with the HSL and bringing out something creative. That's a super easy way to create product shots with some simple lighting. So if you want to get into product photography or product videography, then that's probably the easiest thing that you can do to put into your portfolio. Again, all of the lights are linked down in the description if you want to go and check it out, as is nanlite and nanlite Australia. Thank you very much for sending these over. I do really appreciate it. Now on the screen, there are some more photos from that shoot that I had with the Mclaren Atura. I actually had such an amazing experience with that car. I was able to shoot it for 2 days, well, one full 24 hours, and I also got to go and drive it through Black Spur. If you haven't seen that video, then I highly recommend going to check it out. With all that being said, create more, stress less, and I'll see you in the next one.